if you have ever took a chance to look at the HAFS booklet for the people who have actually went to Seoul National University, etc., you will see that those people had actually a lot of extracurricular activities that actually helped them to go to the universities. But in Madam Speaker and Mr. Speaker, we see that these kind of phenomenon, where all these kind of extracurricular activities are now into consideration in choosing the students in the universities, is causing a fundamental problem in our society. And we believe that because rather than the admission of officer system that has been put into since the President Lee's administration, we believe that rather than this unfair policy that is taking in the status quo, we believe that through a more fair policy, through a more effective policy, we're going to have the students, the best students, into the universities further hand to achieve the fundamental purpose of the education itself. And that is why in today's debate, our side is proud to propose a motion. This also refers to the admission officer system in Korea. But before I go into any other specific cases, I'd like to first define the motion. We define admission of officer systems as the system in which the colleges have specific officers for looking at the documents of the students for the aspects besides the GPAs or standardized tests like scholastic exams to look at aspects like the extracurricular activities of which include like volunteer work and etc. And we believe that this such method of looking at the other aspects beside that is a fundamental problem that is causing today's society in today's society. So we believe that in the status quo, such admission officer system brings mainly two problems. The first problem of the issues related with the private education, which is an ongoing controversial that is going in our society today. And we believe that the college admission officer system has worsened that throughout. And secondly, about how the consequential problems within the admission officer system, like the abuse of the system itself, or the consequence of not able to choose a suitable student for the university itself. So because there are such problems that reside in our society today, our proposition side would like to have a policy to completely abolish the admission officer system. And so then what is the students going to be really evaluated through? We believe that the such standards that are given in schools, like the GPAs, is going to be the first priority. And also the standardized tests like college scholastic exams that takes place in Korea, these kind of things will be also intervened. And also kind of procedures like interviews or writing essays in the colleges will be also be taken into consideration. So in today's debate, our side has three arguments. First being the purpose of the education itself. Second, about the harms which the system brings to our society. And thirdly, lastly, about the social implication. And our third argument will be elaborated by our honorable second speaker. So without further ado, I'd like to we'll move on to our first argument, which is the purpose of education. As we all know and as we all perceive, education is something that should provide an equal opportunity for students, because we believe that the education itself is a way for students, even if you're poor, even if you live in the other rural areas, for students to eventually achieve their main goal, and in the end to achieve something they would like to have in our society in the end. And we believe that obviously, because the education itself has a major role in these kind of aspects, we believe that the procedure itself of choosing the students should be the most fair for all in the status quo. But however, the problem is that obviously that the system we currently have in the colleges is problematic, because this directly goes against this kind of principle we would like to achieve through the education. Because let's just take a look at what these kind of systems are actually taking into consideration. These systems actually take a look at the individual character, how they look, how they work, how they live in their own schools, or about their own creativity they had, so-called, through the kind of the activities mentioned through the extracurricular activities like volunteer works, or etc. other about academic abilities that are achieved through the competitions they go out to. And so we believe that because these kind of things that are achieved in the society, in the education system, the students are literally, we believe, that sent to these competitions for the sake of being chosen into universities. And we believe that this is a problematic, because these individuals, first of all, without much capital, without much money, are actually sent to these kind of environments. And we believe that those students do not have the capability to actually achieve this kind of things that exist in the status quo. And also for the students who live in the other rural rural regions where they have a critical less opportunity to participate in these kind of environments. We believe that because there are such circumstances where these people have certain more harms than the people than the others, we believe that this is a problematic for the education itself, and which directly goes against the principle. Yes, sir.
Administrative official system is not the sole way of choosing students in universities. There is already a specific quota for such disadvantaged students, which already meets the need and demands of such poor kids.
Yes, we believe that there are also quotas for these people, and these students are given in a certain extent. These students are given the opportunity to a certain extent. But we believe that despite that fact, we believe that even if then to the other students who have the ability, it also goes against this kind of policy, this kind of principle, which I'm now going to explain right now. Because we believe that even if those kind of quotas are given to these students, we believe that the system does not fundamentally achieve its core purpose of choosing the best students with the great academic ability, of how they have actually took their courses in the schools effectively and efficiently in the status quo. And we believe that such methods of looking at the other aspects besides the academic purposes, we believe that this directly goes against the purpose of education, the purpose of university, the kind of students which they want to really choose in the future in the status quo. So, and now I'll go into our second argument, which is about the harms of the specific policy in itself. And first of all, the first problem is the abuse of the system. We believe that the procedure of this entrance is a fundamental problem because the other aspects which they so-called look at, such as the report cards or the recommendation letters, have been found to be abused throughout in our societies. For example, we've seen that these report cards have been written based on facts and being written by the teachers without any truth, because the schools just wanted these students to really go to the better universities, or also even the recommendation letters. The teachers have been found to actually copy the recommendation letters and have not been really achieving its purpose throughout. And also, so we believe that fundamentally the system itself is not working its core way it's out in our status quo. And also, the most important problem we believe is also the issue of the private education, because these activities, basically about extracurricular activities and all these kind of activities, are actually the core problems that makes these students go to the private education and receive it. All those kinds of essays they write, they achieve in the university, they achieve in the private education. And we believe that to the further extent, these competitions, etc., are also the main cause of these students going to the private education. So we believe that in the end, the college admission system does not really achieve its core purpose of choosing students and achieving the education. Thank you.
Thank you.